and nerdettes and we little nerdlings all. Your buddy Big John and G from Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming is back again. All right, so we just finished the second game for our game day here. We just, earlier today, we dropped a video for the first one we did, and now we played the big epic game after the short filler game, and that game was a first play today for all of us, and that is the third edition of Fury of Dracula by Fantasy Flight Games. So yeah, we literally just finished this, our first playthrough. That's what the 20-sided shot videos are. They're our first impressions. We get a game the first time we play it. How does it feel? Because first impressions mean a heck of a lot. You know, it's played a lot of games that have been played and you never want to play them again, and you don't even know if they're, you know, any good after you learn the strategy. So I kind of think first impressions are important for something you're going to be spending money on. So with me, I got Alex, I got Ryan for the 20-sided Warriors. I played Dracula. They split the two hunters, so they were each using two of them. And Ryan, you were mentioning that you saw some similarities with another game, so I'm going to ask you, I'm not asking you about that specifically, right, but since you had brought that up, what is your opening thoughts on this?
My opening thoughts is it's actually for Fantasy Flight games tend to be like these really long, drawn out, epic things, and I actually felt that I was able to pick this one up really, really quickly. And I don't know if that's because I've played a lot of Fantasy Flight games in the past, but it definitely has bears a lot of similarities to Star Wars Rebellion, and from what just from what I've experienced with that game, based on how it's like one player is hidden and everyone else is trying to find them and kind of working their way through the board, and how everything moves with the mechanics on the Dracula side of things. But yeah, so I was able to pick it up pretty quickly. There wasn't a whole lot of looking at rules, mainly for just like the turn-to-turn stuff. Like that's since it's so consistent, it's really easy to just dive in with that. And you just need to refer to like the detailed rules of stuff just to make sure you're doing it right. But as far as mechanics go, it worked out really, really well. I think I liked it a lot. At the end of it, we didn't do too great as far as trying to stop Dracula.
How many weeks passed? Because the game is divided into a day phase and a night phase, and it runs through the whole course of the week. Was it?
We got to
the end of the second week.
End
of the second week. Yeah. We only got the one despair token out after that first week.
Yeah, right. three despair tokens.
Literally made it to Sunday night. Literally.
Yeah, Sunday. It was the last possible second we could go through of the.
Now you guys were on Dracula's butt pretty much after the third day, maybe?
Yeah, it was pretty early on. We kind of had you figured out to be somewhere in that far eastern side of Europe at the beginning.
Yeah, so one of the characters has a special ability. On her turn, her action is she can, if she's in a city with another hunter, she can find out if Dracula's in the same region as her, which means that if you choose the right direction to go, you can find Dracula really quick with her. Of course, if Dracula starts somewhere else, Well,
she also starts out right on a border. Like, she starts out in a city that's right next. She starts in one region, and you can go over to another one right away.
Right.
So within two turns, you're already covering two regions.
No, that's only for the beginning game. For the beginning game, there are set start positions for the heroes, but after you learn the game, it is suggested, let the players, the hunters, choose wherever they want to start on the board.
I would still with her I would put her next to one of the other characters, just because that ability is so powerful, and so useful to track down Dracula to start with. Because otherwise, there's 70 locations, cities.
Well, see, I'll tell you, that's why I like the fact that she has that ability.
Yeah,
because she has to be with another hunter.
Yep.
So this way, you guys are less spread out.
Yeah,
the web that you're casting, the net you're throwing out to catch me, is that much smaller.
Yeah.
So I really didn't mind that you kept throwing that power out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was that much of a overpowered kind of thing. Because that has happened in other things where it's like, oh my god, this is kind of ridiculous that this power can just keep happening. But in this case, it does sort of pigeonhole you into almost taking out two hunters out of that large search web.
So now the idea of the game is, while they were hunting for me, I'm trying to make vampires and leave them scattered all throughout the world. And there's a couple of small things I can also do to engage my influence. But the main thing to engage the influence of Dracula, if you're the Dracula player, is really by by laying down new vampires, aristocratic vampires, the reckless vampires, but also kicking butt. That gets you some influence too. And it was a nice combination of the two, I think, that really got me there. But I was worried. I got to tell you, pretty much the entire time after that third round, you guys had me worried the entire time, because then it wasn't like the first couple of days, it was my concept was like, okay, where am I going to go? Where am I going to plant these seeds, so to speak? And I didn't think I had to worry right away about you guys. Especially how spread out you were. And actually, most of you were all over here.
Yeah.
Only one of you started.
Yeah, one of us started like over on
that
the
far
very
side,
far
yeah,
side.
Yeah.
Everyone else was on the far half of the map.
That's why I started over there.
Yeah.
But you guys were on me, and all of a sudden my entire game changed for playing Dracula, where all of a sudden now I just had to get the heck out of Dodge any way I could. And you take damage because you're a vampire, and according to Bram Stoker's vampire lore, you're going to take damage if you're a vampire and you're on the water. And I had no choice. I had to start traveling the seas, and these guys are on the land still following me. I had to take 2 different seas back to back, taking a lot of damage, and I just barely got away from you guys.
Yep. Well, and we had you cornered again, right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it was a bad choice for me to go into Italy here. That's for sure. That was a dead end alley. But I also like the combat system. When we actually did get into combat between Dracula and you guys are one of my vampires.
Yeah.
Now I really haven't played a combat game like that before. I'm not sure if either of you guys have. So you have combat cards to play, and the hunters have combat cards that they're going to play at the same time. Some cards cancel each other out, and they all have their own special abilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole like rock paper scissors mechanic on the card I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and it's rock paper scissors, and it's not because I mean the hunters can cancel out the vampires card more easily than vice versa, but the vampires tend to do more damage. So, yeah, and if the vampires, they just have to survive 6 turns and combat's over. I mean, they keep the damage, but they're one step closer. And in our case, we were like at the last or the second to last.
Now you
spot
just
on the track.
pointed something out that before we started filming, we were actually talking about. And that's combat lasts for 6 turns.
Yeah.
For 6 plays of the cards back and forth, and then it ends. And that felt a little funny.
Yeah.
It did, and then after thinking about it for a second, it's because the Dracula deck is limited. Because when you use a card, it's sort of used for that turn.
Yeah.
I mean, there are specific instances where you can get those cards back, but once you use a card, it's used. And there's only so many cards within the Dracula combat deck. The Hunter's cards keep refreshing. Like, you use one, it's out for 1 turn.
That's a good point.
But you keep getting it back. So that's why I'm realizing that the reason why I think there's limited time in the combat is because there's only so many cards that the Dracula deck has. So eventually it's going to run out.
Thematically, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but mechanically, I can understand totally where
that's
you're
what
coming
it is.
from.
That's what it is. Yeah, I think it's all about the mechanics at that point. And that's when it comes to a combat system in a game, like, there's only so much that you can do thematically, other than with like items and stuff. Like, there's a garlic card, which typically with vampires, that's what you do. But yeah, it's definitely a mechanical thing, not so much of a thematic thing. But with the thematics of everything else, I think it kind of balances.
It also helps with the pacing.
It
Because
does help with pacing.
you don't want to have combat last, 20 rounds.
Yeah.
It could have easily gone back and forth with, I got the combat the most with John while he was playing Dracula, and it just kept going where it's 1 damage back and forth, 1 damage back and forth. Oh, we'll dodge this, dodge that, cancel this card. And that went on for probably 2 or 3 of the 6 rounds.
Well, like you were saying, he's never going to throw claws out a second time.
And then
he's never going to throw claws out a third time. Now, when I was reading through the rules on this, one of the things that I'm reading it and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that really seems really stunted, was the 1 action. That on a player's turn, the hunter gets 1 action to do during the daytime. So that could be moving along the board, that could be acquiring a train ticket, a travel ticket, or getting gear.
Right.
Or searching if you're at a place where you know that the vampire was, if you found part of his trail. Now, when I was reading that, I thought, wow, you do 1 thing during the day, you do 1 thing at night. This game is going to take forever. This sounds so slow. Why did you guys think of that as it was playing through?
I really liked it. Again, I think it's good for pacing. You didn't need to do more than 1 thing a turn, and I mean, each turn is broke up into day and night, basically. Each day is broken up into day and night, and you can only move during the day, and at night when you search, when you get in encounters, you typically, there's a chance that you have a disadvantage. So getting encounters during the day is better, but if you get in the encounter during the day, you can't move, so you're stuck there.
Because the damage the vampires do in combat is stronger during the night. How did you feel about that whole one action?
At first, I thought it was going to be a hindrance because it does. Like I'm looking at the board, seeing how vast it is, and it says you have one action. One of those actions is move, and once you move, that's it. Typically, sometimes you get like a movement action, and then you get a supply action or a search action or something like that. But going through it, and because you have to play all four hunters every time. It's not one of these things where you only play one per person. It actually ended up working out because you do end up started planning out your turns, especially later once you start building up supplies. You're like, okay, I have this, I need to get train tickets, or I need to get, I need to heal up because I'm hurt. But moving around, like it ends up working out, especially with the train tickets because you can move so far. On certain tokens, you can move up to sometimes like 2 or 3 spaces at a time, depending on what you
2 or 3 spaces, exactly what that says. Depending on whether the white or the yellow train you're going to go for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does speed up the movement.
It does speed up the movement, yeah, because instead of moving one space at a time, you can move multiples.
Now I got to agree with you guys. I definitely watching you guys play is a little bit different to Dracula because Dracula doesn't do anything during the day. He just gets his night action. But yeah, you're right. It did make everything go so much faster. Because you're doing one thing, then your other guy, and then your other guy, and then I'm doing something, boom, and now we're on to the next day. It definitely did speed it up, and I mean, obviously enough things happened because you guys were on me like a hound dog on a rabbit. Totally.
I didn't feel like it dragged because there are times where some of the longer paced games do like have a section in the middle where it's like, okay, nothing's happening. Now all the action's going on. There was always something going on, whether it's okay, we know we have to get across the country, or we know we have to get to this point. So there's always something to do. There's always some kind of goal to achieve, whether other than the overall goal of defeat Dracula or Dracula defeat the hunters. There's always something to accomplish within a couple of turns.
And I think once you get the mechanics down, I think that if we played a second game, it would go a lot faster.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think about halfway through, three-quarters of the way through, like we started just kind of plowing through it.
Yeah.
And I think the game ends up playing pretty quick, once you know what you're doing.
I think the thing that took the longest time was me as a Dracula player having to go through
the 70 locations.
Because every city, every location on the board, Dracula has an accompanying card for.
Yeah.
And I get to place it on the trail, and this is how we keep track of Dracula's movement. So just going through the entire, stack of the cards to find the right thing, because I didn't keep it in numerical order. It suggests to keep everything in a numerical order. Numerical order is alphabetical order, and my reasoning was, well, if these guys see me picking from the top of the deck, they're going to know I'm somewhere in a city with an A, probably. So I mixed them all up. I shuffled the whole thing, which is not suggested in the rules, but I thought it did work out better. Even though it took me a few minutes longer to find the cards I was looking for, it didn't matter where I pulled it from, because it was completely random, and these guys wouldn't be able to say, oh, it was near the end of the deck, so he's got to be one of the cities, X, Y, Z, W, somewhere now at the end of the... So I think that helped me a little bit. But you guys caught me so fast, it really didn't matter.
Well, and I'm really glad that the Dracula player has this little mini-map, so he can look at that rather than having to look at the board. So the Dracula player isn't giving away where he or she is on the board.
By looking.
Yeah, I was trying to do both. I was trying to do my real looking on this, and then conveniently forgetting that I have this, and I had to look at the board, and I would totally look at places I was nowhere near at all, but it didn't work. It didn't work. Now the minis.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the quality of the minis? Let me put them out here so we can show them off a little bit.
I think that these, for board game minis, I think these are really good quality.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard some talk about, I think Fantasy Flight using a new method for their minis. I don't know if it's true, but minis are definitely improving. And this is like good quality plastic. I feel like you're not gonna end up with any guns that are getting bent or
Yeah.
no lint spears.
You gotta dip it in hot water so you can rebend it and let it cool in place. So, and the board itself, I know the camera's already caught the board a couple of times, but this map, I know you're looking at it a little bit upside down there, but I mean, the map, this is a beautiful artistic job that they've done on this. It really, I think, captures the feel of this Elizabethan time period.
It does. It is as if you were looking at an old map that you found in a museum or in an old book. It is that like level of, you know, they really studied what maps look like. They had to have based on what this looks like.
I mean, in general, all the art is good.
Oh yeah,
it's great. Everything from the character cards, even
art of the
train
character
tickets,
cards.
Just even.
No, that's not going to work.
the combat cards, I personally really like these the way these combat cards are set up. It's really clear. There's a brightly colored banner.
Yep.
It's either yellow or red, and then the Dracula cards have a clear symbol in the top left, same place. Mm-hmm. So it's really clear.
So this card would cancel out this because of the symbol. And that's the very basic core of how this whole combat system works.
Yeah.
So it's easy to pick up, even though there's a lot of reading because a lot of the text on the cards. When it gets down to the combat, all you really have to worry about, first off, as soon as the cards go out, the first thing you got to look at is just look at the symbols, and right away you're going to have a general idea of how the whole combat is turning out.
Do they match? Okay. If they do, then Dracula doesn't go. What does the hunter do? If they don't, then all right. What does Dracula do? Yep. Does the hunter get their action? Yeah.
So overall, last thoughts of your first thoughts.
Last thoughts, my first thoughts. Last thoughts. I thought it was a fantastic game. I'm looking forward to giving it another try. I thought it played out really well. I feel like it's one of, as far as like the big box games that we've gone through, it's definitely one of the easiest to pick up if you're a generally board gamer like this. But yeah, I thought it was great. I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Yeah, I agree. I played 2nd edition, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, a long time ago. So, like, I didn't even remember it, other than I remembered having fun with it. This game's great. The hidden movement aspect's really fun. It's really fun to try and track down Dracula as the hunters. It'd be interesting to play Dracula just to see what that side of it's like, leaving all those traps behind to mess with the hunters. But yeah, I love it, and I do think that if you're playing with somebody who's experienced, I don't know that this would be a hard game to introduce to new people. I mean, it's definitely if you're into board games, it's I think it's fairly simple to learn from a mechanic standpoint.
Yeah, because the way you put it earlier about it being very easy to learn, there's a few things you have to look up in the book.
Yeah,
it's like it's not fidgety.
No,
but there are fidgety aspects to the rules.
Right.
I think is the best way I would kind of describe it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the game flows really smoothly and naturally. Mm-hmm. Like you're not in like paralysis on what do I do on my turn. It's I can do this, or this. Like,
well, it helps that you're only doing one thing at a time.
Yeah, and then also with the split of the day-night, it's like you end up losing out on a lot of stuff that you can even do because you can only do certain things during the day. You can do certain things at night. So you already know, okay, I can't do these 2 or 3 things out of my list of 6. So already you're cut in half almost. But like, okay, I know this is what I can do at night. Let me plan ahead. I'll do what I can do during the day when I can.
It's having a completely different day strategy as well as a night strategy going on with your hand.
Yeah, for sure.
So I got to say that my last thoughts on this was, wow. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to playing as a hunter and trying to track down Dracula myself. And I'm looking forward to playing Dracula again and trying, different sort of strategies and techniques. I think this is not a gateway game, but it could be a gateway game to a person that's already a board gamer but hasn't played hidden movement games.
Yes.
In that respect.
Yeah, this would be a great introduction to that kind of concept because there are a handful of games that do use that. This would be a great one.
Honestly, I think the only game, hidden movement, that's easier to learn than this is Scotland Yard. I don't know if either of you guys have played that. I grew up with that game. Obviously in Scotland Yard you're not attacking. Basically, you guys would just be trying to corner me as Mr. X. There's no combat or anything. But outside of that, this is the easiest, probably, one versus all hidden movement game that I've played to teach someone that was already familiar with board games.
Yeah.
And if they're not, this is not a hard game, though not a gateway game for a non-gamer, but it's not hard for them.
No.
I think this game has great replayability. And I can't wait for you guys to sit down with another two, because I'm the first time we have 4 players, I'm playing Dracula again.
Yeah.
I'll give up Dracula so we can all experience it. But the first game with 4, I'm being Dracula again.
Because once you have other people thinking about things, because someone could think about something differently than Alex and I.
Because there was a sort of advantage with you two instead of just all 4, because you could totally coordinate the movements of your 2 guys.
Right.
Yeah, of our own.
You didn't have they didn't have to worry about trying to talk another player. No, really, I need you to go here and do this. None of that. They wanted their other character to do it. That was it. So there was this kind of like dual uni-mind on the 2. The 4 characters really being 2 characters, but being able to do double things, double movement. So that worked against me a little bit too. But I want to play this with 4.
Yeah.
I want to play this 3. I don't know. I don't know if I feel 3 players in a Dracula.
It might not be. I mean, I don't know. It depends. It's one of those things where it depends on who the 3 are. I think.
I think it would be hard. I mean, we lost with 4 hunters.
Yeah,
and we lost pretty handily. I mean, we were tracking down Dracula, but we never got in a fight with Dracula. So
I was waiting.
I mean, with just 3 hunters, I don't know. It would be brutal.
It'd be hard.
All right. Well, we all love this game. That's what I'm getting out of this conversation. Is we all love this game. If you haven't played Fury of Dracula yet, my Fantasy Flight games, this is a good game to play, fun game to play. They'll play up to 5 players. I suggest right now myself, I would say 3 or 5. Yeah. Maybe they'd be the best numbers. But give this a shot. So I am your pal, your buddy, Big Johnny G. I'm always here with the games for you. We got 2 20-sided warriors. We're all out about to say goodbye. And we, my friends, are